Ballast Point Brewing Company Sour Wrench Blackberry Ale, 7% alcohol, brewed by Ballast Point Brewing Company out of San Diego, California. Let's give it a shot. When I open up this beer, usually I take a smell, a sniff of the beers before I actually try them and I taste them. This beer had a very strong wine aroma, specifically a red wine aroma. You can't smell if it's sweet or not until you actually try it. It's titled a Sour Wench, and that's what you get. You take a sip of this, and it's almost as if they took wine, carbonated it, maybe mixed in some regular ale, and served it up. It's supposed to be blackberry. I just taste wine. I just taste grapes. I'm not saying that that's negative about it. It's not as sour as some of the beers I've had in the past, some of the sour ales. It's not exactly enjoyable, but it's not enjoyable. Again, trying to think about who the audience is that drinks the sour ales, I've yet to meet. I've yet to find. If I do find them, and if you are listening to this I suggest you recommend. If I had to guess, and only if I had to guess, this would be something enjoyable. It's not overly bitter. It's not overly sour. It's not overly heavy. It's light. It's somewhat like a wine, but it's got a bit of a sour tang behind it. It just reminds me of a very carbonated red wine. And that's as most as I can get out of this. I was expecting sour. I got that. I was expecting a little bit more of a blackberry flavor. I just got red wine. And honestly, there's not a whole lot of ale behind it. There's not much ale flavor. It's slight, it's noticeable, but it's not noticeable enough to say this is beer. This is more like a wine. It really is. I don't want to say that in a negative manner because that might be exactly what they were going for. But as a beer drinker, as most beer drinkers I know, I don't typically, and I don't really know anybody that would go out of their way to order something like this. And I've never gone anywhere where they've ordered something like this and I've looked over and said, oh, you're drinking that. So I'm really still trying to find the consumer base for these types of products. Not saying that they're not out there. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with them. I just need to meet you guys. I need to meet you, or girls. I need to meet you, get some insight, and learn what it is about these beers that makes them enjoyable. Because to me, they're just, if I wanted wine, I would just buy wine. If I wanted an ale, I would just buy an ale. And if I wanted something sour, I probably wouldn't go to either of those two. I haven't had a single sour beer where I've fully enjoyed it. And as I've said in a previous video, I don't go into drinking these beers with a negative attitude. I go in every time expecting something to very much delight and impress and surprise me. So that's why I keep going back to these sour beers. I really think that there's going to be one that really kind of makes the light bulb click on, and then I'm just going to mysteriously get it. Now, I could be setting myself up for failure. However, I'm still going to keep trying until I learn. This is just, I wouldn't go out of my way for this. My drinkability on this, if I had to drink something like this, it would be in a warm month. It is fruity. There's something slightly refreshing about it, but I couldn't see drinking this in the winter months or the cold months. If I was drinking something like this, 1, 2 would be max. Again, the sour beers just haven't done it for me, and I'm still learning, and I'm still trying to figure out what it is about these beers. I've had probably thousands of different types of beers, and I'm only now just documenting them. But the sour beers just still have not really clicked for me. I'm still really trying to figure out who it is they're marketing these beers towards. On a scale of 1 to 10, I'll give this a 4, only because I do like wine, and this did remind me of a red wine. Not an overly sweet red wine, just a red wine. And there was something sour about it. It's what you get from the label. That's basically what it is. Overall, I wouldn't go back to it. And I hate to say that about Ballast Point. It's nothing against you guys. I've had some of your beers in the past, and they weren't the sour beers, and some of them were pretty good. This was, I just saw it, and I wanted to try and document it, and unfortunately, that's my review. So again, Ballast Point Brewing Company, Sour Wench Blackberry Ale, 7% alcohol. Hey guys, if you like that, why don't you head on over to my YouTube channel where I do more beer reviews, where I do all the drinking and you do all the listening and judging. I don't know how that's fair, but you're welcome.